This is a Bandit Radio production.
Long enough to cover the subject and short enough to keep it interesting. Welcome to Outta My League, presented by Bandit Radio. I'm Nick Diaz. No shock, Alabama won last night, beat Ohio State. But after the game, Nick Saban and quarterback Mac Jones self-proclaimed themselves as the greatest team in college football history, because for some reason they are still butthurt over last year's LSU team. Don't ask me why. But in typical lazy mainstream media clickbait talking head columnist fashion, the debate between the 2019 LSU team or the 2020 Alabama team raged on, because they have nothing else better to do. They're not creative in any possible way. Now look, I've always said debates like these are lazy and annoying for multiple reasons. Like, you know, the who's better, Michael Jordan or LeBron? Well, they played in two different eras. How could you possibly know? The rules were completely different. The 96 Bulls or the 2018 Warriors? Again, two completely different eras. You can't go in a time machine and have these teams play. Now, before I break down the ridiculous argument of the 2019 LSU versus 2020 Bama, I want to talk about these all-time great arguments and why they're specifically just so annoying. And I kind of hinted at it earlier. You can't say one team was just better than the other if they played each other. You just can't. Now, what you could say is, well, this team was more accomplished team in college football history. That's where LSU 2019 has the argument. Which team is more statistically dominant? That's the 95 Nebraska team. They have that argument. Which team had more professional NFL talent? Well, that's the 2001 Miami Hurricanes. They have that argument. But none are good enough, because at the end of the day, it's all based on a what if. What if? What if this? What if that? You can't go to a time machine, as I said, and have the two teams play. But if, for example, if the 2019 LSU team played the 2001 Miami or 1995 Nebraska, those two teams would look at LSU schematically and have no idea how to stop them. The game of football has changed so drastically in 25 years, 20 years, that they would, even if they had a week to prepare, they would look at LSU's offense and defense and be like, what the hell do we do? Like, what are we looking at? It would be so foreign to them. Analogy I've always used is this. If Albert Einstein was arguably the smartest person who ever lived, but if you went back in time to when he was in college and you handed him an iPhone 12 and told him, hey, explain this to me, he would look at you like you're crazy. It would be like a foreign object to him. Now, maybe he would eventually figure it out, but does that mean that Albert Einstein was a dumbass? No, it just means it's different. It's a different era. So let's now break down the ridiculous, stupid argument that LSU and Alabama fan base seems to be having. So now, by the way, before we do this, let's take out all the individual awards and accomplishments, because that'll just take too long. At the end of the day, this is about the teams as a whole. Alabama fans. So Alabama fans are now saying, well, we're the best because we had to play an 11-0 SEC schedule, and we did it during COVID. No one has ever done that before. Okay. The flaw in this argument is kind of obvious. So one, you're saying that the 2019 LSU team would have lost to Missouri, Kentucky, or Tennessee teams that had opt-outs and players with COVID. Yeah, okay, that's not a great argument to start there. Two, they say, well, we did it during COVID. Again, there's no way to prove that any other great teams like the 2019 LSU team would not have gone 15-0 during COVID, or not have any of your star players test positive for COVID in 5-month span, which is what happened to Alabama, which, by the way, that's a medical improbability, but let's just look past that for right now. LSU fans, their best argument is this. Well, we beat more top 25 teams than anyone ever. Okay, good start. And we beat that same Alabama team that had a better quarterback, and they had Jerry Jeudy and Henry Ruggs to their wide receiver core. So we basically beat them, same team, just more talent, in their own stadium with a full crowd. Ha! Okay, well, that's an admirable argument. It's still not the same team because Alabama was better on defense in 2020. Not by much, but, they were. And statistically, even though they weren't as talented, they were statistically better and more efficient offense in 2020 despite losing the talent. LSU fans also argue, well, Joe Burrow is a better quarterback on tape. He's a better quarterback prospect overall than Mac Jones. True, but again, we're not arguing individuals here, we're arguing teams. For example, after last night, does any NFL general manager truly think Mac Jones is better than Justin Fields based on last night's result? I didn't think so either. And all of this is based on a what if. All of it. And now, by the way, side note, Alabama fans saying, well, we almost beat the LSU team in 2019. Actually, no, you didn't, because never at any point in that game did Alabama have a chance to tie the game or take the lead. At any point. Matter of fact, no team in 2019 at any point had a chance to take the lead or tie the game in the fourth quarter against that LSU team. Unlike Alabama in 2020, Florida had that option. But all of this is based on a what if, and these types of arguments will just lead down to one thing. Well, there's no way to really prove it. Great. And that's what's going to happen. You're going to end in a dead-end Twitter or Facebook argument, and the only thing left is that you will be more depressed and angry over that said argument because that's what Twitter and Facebook want you to do. And that's what the clickbait people want you to do. It's pointless. All you can say, really, is that the 2020 Alabama team is the best team to ever play in the COVID year. And 2019 LSU is the most accomplished team in college football history during a regular year. Now, would one beat the other? I don't know. Build a frickin' time machine and figure it out yourself. In the meantime, I'm moving on to more interesting topics. Thanks for listening to Out of My League. If you like what you heard, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, or follow me on Twitter at @TheNickDiaz.